Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady D.
We are the Dom Life. Welcome back, everyone. We are now on episode 2.
That's a good number.
That's a huge number for us. Always good to get to number 2.
And can I just say how much I like our intro?
That intro's badass. I done that, by the way. That was...
I heard my voice in there, too.
Well, yeah, but I was the one that composed, and I've become a hell of a DJ.
He has.
From the night of our demonstration at Club Tempted.
May 17th.
That was on May 17th, which is what our episode is about tonight. So if you happen to be there that night,
make sure you give us a comment. Tell us how wonderful we were.
Yeah, and just so you know, you was at an amazing show, in case you didn't already know that. If you wasn't at Club Tempted May 17th, then let me tell you, you missed one hell of a show.
But there will be more.
There
so
will
don't feel
definitely be more.
so sad, because a lot of people enjoyed it and wanted it. So we're definitely going to be doing some more things in the future.
Correct. There will be more lined up. So to start this show off, we're going to talk about BDSM some more, as always.
Episode 2 is BDSM-Not pain.
Exactly. So one of the biggest misconceptions that you hear when we're sitting and talking to people about BDSM is they always say, well, I don't like pain, or I don't want the marks. I don't want the bruises. So we set this whole demonstration up that night to show that BDSM doesn't have to be pain. You can do BDSM with no pain at all.
We had 4 dominants and their submissives. And it was an opportunity for, it was actually a live performance to start with that rolled into, from the demonstration to the performance to an interactive event.
Yeah, and it went great. So, again, it may have been mentioned in our first episode, BDSM. What does BDSM stand for? And, of course, now, this day and age, everybody's got a cell phone. So, I mean, you can Google what does BDSM stand for, or what is BDSM? The only problem is you're going to get hundreds of definitions, and they all vary a little bit. So a disclaimer again for us, this is our opinion of BDSM, what it means to us, not as a whole group.
As with
altogether.
all of our podcast episodes, what we're talking about comes from our perspective and the things that we see and do. It is not necessarily what everybody believes.
Correct.
But we're going to, if you're just starting and you're being introduced to it and you're learning and want to learn, then listening to us will give you some of those definitions, some of the understanding of the terms, as well as what we use. And specifically with this, my husband has all of the wonderful terms that it can be.
Yes, and if I can't pull them off my head, I do have a laptop sitting in front of me. We'll Google them ourselves. So the thing with BDSM and all the definitions, they all vary a little bit, but there is 2 specific points that I want to hit that just about every definition has. The first point I want to hit is BDSM is built on a foundation of trust and communication. If neither of you have trust in each other, or one of you doesn't have trust in the other, it is very hard to pull off a BDSM scene. And the second part of that is the communication,
which we do a lot of.
A whole lot of. You have to know what you want. You have to know what you need.
You have to know your limits.
Your soft limits, your hard limits, and these are all definitions or words that we probably should give definitions to while we're talking about. So soft limits is stuff you're willing to try, willing to do, and can be expected to push. They're
Soft limits means I don't want to do it, but I am willing to do a portion of it. It's a limit, but it's not a hard limit. A hard limit means I am not going to do it.
Yep.
No matter what, it may trigger me, or it may, swearing at me kind of bothers me. There are some people that love it, but when you're swearing at me, I'm taking it personally and I start getting hurt. Butt hurt. So we don't do stuff like that. But that's me personally. So the hard limits, total dead stop.
Hard limits are an absolute no.
Soft limits mean I'm willing to let you try it, but be aware that it might be triggering, or it might be difficult for me to do.
And as a dominant, for me, whenever we're in a scene, I know your soft limits, but for me, I want to try to see how far I can push your soft limits.
But not in a negative way.
Sometimes I can take you further than what you think you can, depending on the mood and the scene. So the second point of the BDSM that has to take place regardless, it has to be consensual. All partners involved in a BDS scene have to be consenting adults willing to participate in the scene that is laid out in front of them. But what BDSM stands for is bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadomasochism.
I'm totally in for the submission.
I'm totally in for the dominance. So glad we got that part out of the way. So going back to the misconception of it being painful, it doesn't necessarily have to be. If you have ever been to Club Tempted, and if you was there that night of our show, we did a quick little demonstration with me and the other three DOMs of holding up various implements that we like to use very often. I had them to hold up a flogger.
Yay!
I had them to hold up a paddle. And I had them to hold up a crop or a whip.
Ouch.
To demonstrate to our crowd that there's four of us here. All four of us have the exact same tools. They might be different colors, different shapes, different lengths, but we all had each one of those implements. And the point I wanted to stress to the audience was watch our technique and how we use them, the intensity that we use them, and where exactly we hit at with them.
Completely different techniques between all four of them.
Yes. So, question for our viewers who are listening. I don't know if you're viewing, but you're listening. So, question for our listeners. Do you fantasize or do you enjoy being tied up while your partner explores every inch of your body?
I would say that almost all women would say hell yeah to that.
I would agree to that. And just so you know, that is the bondage category of BDSM. So let's take it up a notch. How many fantasize or enjoy being blindfolded with noise-canceling headphones while being touched, whether with your partner's hands or a feather or a light rub of a paddle?
You could even go to massages with that same thing.
You could massage with it. But in that category, that is sensory deprivation.
But that's because you're taking away, the deprivation is taking away the sounds and the blindfold sight.
Correct. Because then you don't know what I'm using. You don't know when I'm going to use it.
Ooh.
You don't know where I'm going to be at on your body. And that really heightens the senses.
It makes you
touch.
Focus on, not that that's happened to you, but because it's happened to me, it makes me focus more on what's coming. There's this hesitation, this pause, this feeling of anticipation. And then when it happens, you're just totally in the moment and you're not thinking about the past, the future, the laundry, the cooking. You're thinking about just your partner and how amazing these sensations are.
Right. So then the last thing I want you to fantasize about, or maybe you really enjoy it, but let's say your partner just walks up to you, gently nudges you up against a wall, grabs your hands, puts them up above your head, kisses you passionately, or whispers in your ear what they would like you to do. Well, that is dominance and submission, which is kind of the category we fall under mostly, is dominance and submission. And we do a lot of the bondage, and
we
do
pretty
a whole
much
lot.
cover all of it.
Well, we kind of cover all of it. So a quick little story of a scene that we got to witness at Club Tempted. And it absolutely blew my mind, because originally I thought, what in the hell is she thinking? But there was a girl there. She is a submissive, and she is one that I have played with many times.
Beautiful girl.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Or woman, I guess. Beautiful woman.
Yeah. She found another dominant that night, and she's friends with a lot of us. She's, so she went to him that night and said she wanted to be restrained and tickled.
Tickled.
And the first thought that crossed my mind was, you're out of your fucking mind.
Because somebody I know doesn't like to be tickled.
You just make a gesture like you're going to tickle me, I'm going to throat punch you. It is not going to be good for neither one of us.
Or tie me up and beat my bottom.
That ain't going to happen either. But yes, so she asked him if he would restrain her and tickle her. And they invited us up to the dungeon to watch, because we was obviously curious. That was a kink that I had never even thought of, didn't know even existed, which seems to be the kind of the going thing over the last 5 years. I find all kinds of new kinks and fetishes that I've never heard of, and it blows my mind. So I'm always curious to know. So we made our way to the dungeon, and he laid her down on the table, and he restrained her wrist, and he restrained her ankles. And by only using his hands, he did not pick up an implement, a toy, nothing. Simply with his hands, was probably about 7 to 10 minutes was their scene, and all he did was tickle her. And I sat back against the wall and was thinking, again, for one, nobody's ever going to do that to me. But for two, watching her facial expressions, was she blindfolded as well? I can't remember if she was blindfolded, but watching her facial expressions and the smile on her face that she was getting, not because it was ticklish. She was ticklish. She was squirming.
But she was feeling.
But you could see the difference in her smile of enjoyment. And, when it got done, when the scene was done, of course, he unrestrained her. And there was the time period of aftercare, which is very important after a scene. And it is a whole other category of stuff to discuss in a future episode.
Necessary part of almost every submissive requires some sort of aftercare. And it can be as simple as, are you okay? Here's a bottle of water, to extreme.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that.
That is a whole other episode that we want to make sure we cover it well, because that's another topic that a lot of people miss, that doesn't get discussed. And if you are involved in a scene for the first time, if you are not aware of it, it can be a scary.
Well, I guess not so much being aware of aftercare, but being aware of sub drop. So that's part of the reason we require aftercare is because of sub drop.
So going back to the BDSM and the night of the demo, we was planning for the demo about a month and a half. We had to plan and to get everything lined out. And I spent several weeks trying to figure out the best way to describe to somebody brand new how big BDSM actually is, and all the kinks and all the categories and everything. So the best way that I know to do it is by using a grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody knows what a grocery store is. Although we never go to the grocery store no more. You do everything online, and we have that shit delivered.
So much easier, and I spend a lot less money.
Yes,
and I don't buy a lot of.
We don't buy a lot of the stuff that we're fixing to talk about. So picture a grocery store, the biggest grocery store you've ever been in, and multiply that by like 10. This store is huge.
Make it an Amazon warehouse grocery store.
There you go. So with every grocery store that you go in, you've always got the stuff you always buy. And that may be your milk, your eggs, or your bread. Everybody loves French toast. It's almost
Not
like everybody
everybody.
has to have French toast, but you always have the ingredients to make French toast. So the milk, eggs, bread, the stuff you buy every time you go grocery shopping, in BDSM, those are your needs. That is what you need to have in your life. So then we move over to the snack aisle. Now here you find the chips and the cookies. Of course, you can't have bread with lunch meat on it without your chips.
How about crackers and cheese?
You can have crackers and cheese. All that's in the snack aisle. The snack aisle you usually visit quite often. Not all the time when you go, but quite often, because you got to have the little snacks to go along with your meals.
If there's a storm, we're just going for the milk, eggs, and bread.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody goes to the snack
So
aisle.
then we're just doing the needs. But, if we have the time, we're going to go through the wants.
Exactly. So the snack aisle is what is your wants. You want them, but it's not a have-to-have thing.
But you're going to include it and incorporate it. It is going to be a part of your relationship, your BDSM needs.
But then, if you're anything like me, you always wind up in the bakery aisle where the cakes and the pastries,
donuts,
and those fucking donuts. And you stand there and you look at them and you drool and you're thinking, God, I want them. Those would be so good. I know I shouldn't have them. They'll add the little extra weight like I've got right now. But
Me too.
You dream of them. We're going to call those your desires. And I'm here to tell you, if you've got those desires, it is great to fulfill them. Eat them some bitches, them damn donuts. Eat them and fill your desires. Now you may get them donuts. It may be a different kind of donut. It may be cream filled. You may not be into cream filled. I'm not into cream filled donuts for sure, but you're liable to get those.
Because it looked good.
They look good and you wanted them and it felt like a desire to have them, and you bring them home and they're just not that great. And you think, well, that was a waste of food, but it's still an experience. And that's what BDSM is. It's experiencing new things to see whether you like them or not. And you may bring home those cream-filled donuts, and those may become a need to where every time you go, that is what you pick up every time. So
and then other times, it may be something that you don't try again. You say, that didn't work for us in our relationship, and we just don't need that. But you had the experience. How would you know unless you tried it?
Yep. And life itself is an experience. You're all the time trying new things and doing new things, and BDSM is no different. You will find, as in life, there's some things that you like and you want to do more of, and BDSM is no different. So growing up, I was always taught never hit women.
Until he met me.
Until I met Lady D. And then, she's wanting flogging and occasional spanking and different things like that. And from my point of view, it was a scary moment for me the first time I held a flogger in my hand with your bare ass up on a cross.
I remember you telling me the story, like, if I had done this to any of my exes.
Oh, the cops would have been called.
They would have been called. And then here you are asking me to do this to you, and you're telling me that this is one of your milk, eggs, and bread, the things that you need.
But it was a scary moment, and I remember, I'm not good at remembering things, but I do kind of remember the first time of using a flogger on you, and I was scared to swing it, so I wasn't swinging it really hard enough to make the impact that you was wanting. And that's one of the good things, going back to the communication. That is one of the good things that I can say made me being a dominant so much easier for me, is having you as my sub and you being so verbal and open about what you want and how you want it.
This is recorded. I just want you to know that this is now forever recorded, that you have said
I'm gonna
that me
edit.
being verbal is good.
I can edit that part out. But for me to be a dom, I would not be where I'm at today if I had a submissive that wasn't so open and wasn't so verbal and telling me what they wanted and how they wanted it.
And this is a big part of difficulties in relationships, because a lot of submissives have a hard time requesting or
Yes.
asking for what they want. But I'm very dominant in my general life, and so I have the ability to do that.
Right.
And so it helped you, and hopefully with this podcast, what we're trying to do is help other people to reach those same places.
Right. But we do know some people that the submissive wants certain things, but their partner can't come to being able to provide or give it to them.
They can't hit.
They don't want to hit, they can't hit, or maybe they just don't like it. They don't like the idea of it. And that is okay too.
And a lot of times what's happening, at least in our world, right? When we go to the club, those are the people that find us.
Yes, those are the ones that say, hey,
And
can you
Master
do that?
Nick, my wonderful, sexy husband, has the opportunity then to help and assist in that.
Yes. And I'm more than willing to talk to their partner, who would be the top or the dominant, and give them talks, speeches, directions, anything they need to try to comfort them, to try to help them out, or to show them how to use implements. But for the ones that are completely against it or don't want anything to do with it, who are willing to let their partner experience that by somebody else, there is a lot of ways to do that. There's some people that come to the club, their partner's not even a member of the club, but they have the relationship to where they can go to the club by themselves and experience what they want to experience while their partner sits at home and does what they want to do.
We need to communicate. There are alternate ways to get some needs met, because I will tell you that in my life, without it, if I was not a submissive sexually, or if I didn't submit sexually, then, and I didn't get my butt beat now and again through fun butt beating, I would not be satisfied. My life
Right.
would not be fulfilled, and it would end the relationship.
Well, you've even told me that there was some relationships that were ended because
Yeah,
you couldn't
perfectly
get that.
wonderful people that I really enjoyed long-term relationships with, but then it felt like they were my friend, and sex was just something we did as friends,
Right.
because I didn't have the rest of it.
Even down to having sex in general. You can't have vanilla sex. You can't have where
100% vanilla.
we 100% vanilla.
No.
There has to be a little bit of dominance from me to get you in the mood to even have sex, which I don't care. I'm not a problem with that. I'm all up for that.
Right.
But going back to the partner, if they're not willing, again, you need to voice your concerns and communicate to them of stuff that you need, and try to find a way to where you can have your needs met and your relationship still going good and strong.
Right. The same thing goes for the dominants. So not just the submissives, but the dominants sometimes need a little bit more, which is, I only like a certain amount of pain. We've discussed the levels. This isn't all about pain. BDSM, not pain, right? So I enjoy a lot of the dominant stuff, and I enjoy getting flogged, which isn't necessarily pain. So when he wants to get his more sadistic side up, or when his sadistic side is in the mood to play, we may need somebody to stand in for me who can take the hits that I can't take.
And so far, I've been pretty lucky to have people willing to bottom for me.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love playing with some of them that want that pain, that want the marks and the bruises, that I can really find myself getting into a good scene with them. And I honestly enjoy that. But then thinking back on it as well, some of your relationships that failed, I believe some of mine have failed in the same way. The only problem was I didn't know why they wasn't working. But again, me having the freaky mind that I did and not being able to find somebody to let me fulfill them, thinking back on it now, I believe a lot of my relationships failed for that same reason too. Some failed for other reasons, obviously.
Yeah, it's not all one thing usually.
Right. But I can think of 2 or 3 that that could have been the big reason for it too. So coming up on our next episode, we're going to be discussing subspace, subdrop, and aftercare, which is very important to discuss for people entering the BDSM world or for those that haven't had a real heavy scene.
Because it's something for a submissive that's very important to talk about.
Yes, and aftercare ranks up there almost as important as the trust, the communication, the consensual. Aftercare falls just a little bit below that.
That is 100% true. Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com, where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.